All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Hurley Investments Market View commentary for the 7th of October, which it is the 7th of October. For a second, I'm like, boy, did I have one on the 1st of October? I did not. Okay, welcome to the Hurley Investments Market View commentary. Good to go with you tonight. The first thing I'm going to go over was a couple emails that I received from a couple of you, and we're going to go over politics one more time. I'm going to make it simple so that I don't piss anyone off. Harris equals higher taxes, and I feel she also will mean higher deficit. And I will explain that in a second. Trump equals lower taxes, name calling, and lower deficit. Now, a couple of you have made the comment, hey, Trump's new plan will cause a $7 trillion deficit with the tax cuts. And that was the email that was sent out to me. Kevin, how would you vote Republican if there is a $7 trillion deficit using his Project 25 plan? The first thing is he has not endorsed the Project 25 plan. And I know some of you have told me, well, a lot of his cronies have. And to be honest with you, a few have. I don't know how you define a lot, but yes, there are some people that are behind the Project 25 plan. I am not a fan of it, nor do I think that it really would go into effect. I'm just not seeing that opportunity of it to come to pass. Harris, again, I'm going to go back from Trump's previous historical norm. He did not have he was running a slight deficit, but he was also taking down government I was going to say plans, but government projects were being taken out. For every new project, you had to kill 2 old ones. I felt like he was getting there until COVID hit. Someone asked me recently here, well, what about Harris? And I thought I described the tax plan to you. I thought it was there in understanding. So just so you know, and I am a little disappointed, but I did grab an article from CNN. Where is it? You're supposed to ignore social media. Here's what Harris's unrealized capital gains tax means for you. I found some inconsistencies. Imagine that was CNN an inconsistency. But many posts ignore the fact that the plan only impacts those whose net worth is more than 100 million or 1% of taxpayers. So she has this unrealized tax that is supposed to be targeted to net worth of 100 million or more, which is less than 1% of the tax group. I found it interesting because they're saying it's a transitional proposal. If you go through, here's some things that contradict that I don't understand. It's supposed to be a tax on the rich. Tax on real estate capital gains, which results when an asset like a stock or home is sold for more than what they originally paid for it, blah, blah, blah. call for rising tax rate on millionaires, not 100 millionaires, but it's written as millionaires, with long-term capital gains from 20 to 28%. If you can sell your house for over $1 million, if you have a 401k, this puts you in the top tax rate for millionaires. Notice how he did not say 100 millionaires. It is because the way it is written as millionaires, not 100 millionaires. The tax on the unrealized capital gains, again worth 100 million, puts in context just 20,209 or about 0.1, but a net worth valued at 500 million or more in 2019. Notice how I don't have more accurate data, even though this has come out October 6, 2024. There have been a lot more millionaires in the last couple years. They give an example of capital gains. It would cause a headache for the IRS, blah, 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 blah. It's just, again, it's just not what it's off. It's off and it's wrong. Interesting article. I think what it comes down to is really the election will cause the volatility for October, and you are going to vote for either higher taxes for helping, and I'm going to just put it as less fortunate, or not willing, or you're going to vote for lower taxes on those who have earned what they have. And I really think your vote comes down to that. I'm not telling anyone to vote a certain way or form. That is just something that you need to take into effect. So for those of you who brought up and sent me the article on CNN, there are inconsistencies within the article. I have it in here for you so you can look at it. In regards to the deficit, again, I'm just going to go to past history, and yes, I'm willing to admit Biden has had less deficit than Trump. I give that to you, but I just am following through with what I have. In fact, you know what the best thing we could hope for? The best thing that we can hope for, or the best thing for the United States, for U.S. citizens, is a split government. No all Republican, no all Democrat. I think that's one of the best ways the founding fathers have found a way to protect us from those that are in power. Two people typed in, the tax on unrealized gains will not happen. Right now, it is happening, and they're trying to push it through, but I also agree that I don't think it will because of the split government. When I say higher taxes, it's just higher taxes in general. All of us that have an LLC will pay 33% more taxes as the capital gains, or the corporate tax goes from 21 or 20 back up to 28. It's interesting because I made the comment that the The real tax rate, even though it's at 28, is closer to 18.5%. And that might be correct because we have write-offs and so forth. I have no idea what these big corporations do. I'm just looking at my LLC that pays taxes as an S corp, and I've enjoyed the tax breaks that I've received. All right. So I'm done with that one, and I'm only answering that because someone brought it up. Israel has a war on 7 fronts. This morning was the anniversary of the 1,200 Israelis that were killed in Tel Aviv. As the market was, well, actually, as I was up at around 4 o'clock, futures came out at 5 a.m. Our market was down about the 1%. We opened up at only 0.25%. And immediately we put protection on. Just to let you know, if you look at how I'm looking to trade, we put protection on today on Apple, Disney, Bank of America, Google, Verizon, CB, which is the, I forget what it is. It's the insurance company, Lockheed Martin. We already had some protection on Square. I can't type everything. Already had Square protected. We were protecting. My caps are locked. So we already had stuff protected, but it 100% comes down to Israel. Now, there were these comments today in universities across the U.S. No particular order, but State universities across the U.S., Jews killed 44,000 when only 1,200 were killed by Hamas. That number actually is closer to 4,000, about 4,240. When it's all said and done over that year, it was a single day where 1,200 were killed. So to a certain degree, yes, the Jews are killing 10 times if you want to do it in a crude, people don't matter numbers way. With that said, primarily 10% of the Jewish people were affiliated with the military. I'm calling it active duty. Yes, they all go to 2 years of military service. I understand that. Whereas only 10% of the Hamas were citizens. Now, I have no way to prove that. What I did do is I called up my friends in the military, and I'm going to tell you that Navy SEALs are being shipped overseas, that the military is being moved more to a ready status. And what I do know is that from someone in the military made the comment that Israel will attack Iran before our election. I do not know how high up that individual is to know these things, but as I was seeing our market open today and the comments I had over the weekend, the first thing we did was put protection on when the market was down roughly between 0.20 and 0.25% down, 0.24. All of our protection is profitable today. All of our protection was put on because we have an election with uncertainty. We have a country that, in my belief, is just trying to protect themselves, that will attack nuclear facilities, even though there are no nuclear facilities in Iran, or they are low-grade nuclear facilities. So please don't be surprised if something awful happens in the very near future when a low-grade, no real nuclear facility turns into a nuclear explosion. What will most likely happen is that Israel will say they just bombed a low-grade, non-nuclear. They don't have a way to make nuclear material that is weapons grade. They'll say they just attacked it with a standard bomb. Iran will come back and say that Israel sent a nuclear warhead into their country. That is the concern and the worry. We are adding protection, and we'll keep protection on all the way across the board, not only through earnings, not only through the election, but we're also looking to protect in the next couple weeks for a catastrophic event that could happen in the Middle East. Everything today had protection on it. Let me take that back. Everything that we put on for today made money. We had other positions with protection on it. Very shortly, we will have everything protected for October historical norms, our election, and a potential catastrophic event in the Middle East. S&P 500 warnings. The S&P is trading at 2.5 future earnings versus historical earnings. Anyone know what the historical average is? What is the historical average for the S&P 500? And again, you might not get it right because I'm sure it fluctuates. But what is the S&P 500 historical average? I'm going to wait a second for you guys to tell me. But I'm just curious. All right, survey says 7 to 8%, 20%. I don't know. All right, well, I'm going to tell you the historical earnings are going to run roughly at 17.1 times the future earnings. And that's just what I've always used. We have a very interesting article from the big picture and what it all means. Earnings and earnings expectations are what drive the market. The higher hope or what is to come. That point is borne out in a forward 12-month PE multiple of 21.5 times for the market cap weighted S&P that is 19% above the 10-year average of 18.0. The forward 12 P multiple is equal to for the equal weight S&P 500 is 17.1. That looks better in absolute terms, but it is only slightly premium to the 10-year average of a 16.4 times. So the short answer is this. The good earnings news prices and indexes needs to keep coming, or there'll be an increased risk of multiple compression, knowing stock prices tend to go down faster than they go up. If you work these numbers, and if you're expecting, the market to be overvalued by 19%, the downside risk is roughly 28.4%. Assuming that stocks fall faster than they go up. It's a simple calculation. It makes me worry that we are set for a pretty good drop when we have our market correction. And it's we're looking at having a 30% drop sometime in the future. That is just something that mathematically comes up into this position. I find it interesting because even with this said, we're going to pick on Goldman Sachs, upgraded the S&P 500 to reach 6,300 by year's end. Nope. 6,000 by year's end and 6,300 by end of next year. With that said, downgrades today on Apple, and that was done by, oh, it was important and I can't remember who it was. Amazon and Netflix. Netflix had a downgrade to 550 from the 700 price target. It also had an upgrade to 800. So there's a battle of analysts on Netflix. But downgrades today on Apple and Amazon that start our downward movement, and a battle of downgrades on Netflix. Micron had their ex-dividend date. That's going to be payable on the 23rd. And there's one more thing I was going to point out, but I can't remember what that was, so I'm going to ignore it right now. Earnings dates have been updated. We're going to really start to hit some of our earnings next week. So start to pay attention as we're going through this. I'll take things on and off, but Bank of America comes up next week, and then we really dive into 2 weeks of the majority of the earnings. Big Picture was an excellent article. Really talks about the Magnificent Seven. Only 2 are beating the market right now. Yes, we're in both of them. So pretty interesting to see. Still bullish on the Dow, but we will we'll most likely head a little bit lower, but I don't know. If you were to ask me, where the market's end this week, I am definitely going lower. I've only got 2 of the last 4 weeks correct. So my estimation has not been wonderful, but again, 2 of the last 4 weeks or 5 weeks have I been correct. All right. S&P, same thing. Big down day. testing that base. We will see if it keeps going down. We are still bullish on the NASDAQ, but we're coming close to breaking a short-term support level. So we need to be paying attention to our indexes. Our earnings this week, really not much. PepsiCo, Delta Airlines, Domino's Pizza on Thursday, BlackRock Fast, Wells Fargo, and JP Morgan on Friday. This is the second week of bank earnings, and they really unleash next week. Economic reports, CPIs and PPIs, as well as FOMC minutes on Wednesday, but it'll be inflation numbers that we're looking for. Very interesting article on October's already living up to its volatile reputation. Kind of a no-brainer, right? Apple has sold, some of their bigwigs have sold tens of millions. Tens of millions, that'd be the best way to say it. Apple Cook sold over 50 million. It was planned, he wants cash. If you look down there on that next paragraph, Deidre O'Brien, Senior Vice President of Retail, sold 61,000 shares worth 13.8 million. Catherine Adams, Apple General Counsel, sold 61,000 shares for 13.8 million. Jeff Williams sold 59,370 shares for 13.5 million. A lot of Apple executives have been selling their stock positions. Interesting article on Google and how they're using AI to increase their ads and their click-throughs. I have an article in here from Pearl Harbor to September 11th. Here's how stocks typically react to an outbreak in wars. It's 22 days down to find a bottom of a big event, 47 days to recover. Those are averages, which means it'll fall somewhere in that time frame, maybe. Very interesting article on Baidu. Some of you again have said, Kevin, Baidu, what are you thinking? What are you doing? Very, very interesting article. And what I like best about it is I think I had 208, but their average price for Baidu as they go through everything was up at 210. So another article on Baidu, 210 is where they think it can be by the end of next year in the next 12 months. I would agree, but if you want to work all the numbers, here's the numbers that I've been talking about, and it's right here. I do have the ignore the social media on Harris from CNN. Again, I showed where that had a couple discrepancies. And here's more about what Israel is doing to Lebanon. And again, biggest fear coming up. What are we going to do to protect ourselves from Israel shooting a non-weapons grade nuclear site that turns into a nuclear explosion? What questions do you guys have for me today? But yes, we went to protect everything. And if you're looking at how I'm looking to trade, we had protection to Apple, Disney, Bank of America, Google, Verizon, Lockheed Martin, I want to say Chubb Insurance. Already had protection on Square, and we will most likely be being protected from now until November 15th to get us through the election, to get us through earnings, and most importantly, to get us through the uncertainty in our political world / macro world for the wars. So what questions do you guys have that I can answer for you? I'm sitting out here in Denver in a hotel room talking to my people. What questions do you guys have that I can answer for you? To access these, the easiest way to access these is I will upload them on Hurley Investments. You can click on them. And then I have all the notes right here for you just to highlight and you can go right down. I'd suggest you put it on a Word document of some kind, and that way you can see everything that we talked about. So that is how I would access the classes. And to get the notes, you can just click on any of the tabs there. Obviously, we have the video, and then the notes are all underneath that you can highlight and just cut and paste onto a Word document. That's usually the easiest way and how most people grab our notes. Apparently, you can email it to yourself. I have not done that, but apparently that is there as well for you. All right, any questions you guys have for me that I can answer for you tonight? Short answer is we are very concerned about political events. Most important is Israel bombing a non-nuclear weapon site in Iran. Iran will say that they bombed them with a nuclear bomb. When it explodes, Israel will say a non-weapons grade nuclear site had weapons grade, and we will have a nuclear explosion happen in our world yet again. Don't know if my resources know enough to know something, but that is what the U.S. military seems to be planning for, and more of our military is heading that direction. Okay, I don't see any questions coming in. In that case, I'm going to thank you for being here today. I will get this uploaded rather quickly. I've got not a whole lot to do, but I do have a couple phone calls to make tonight. I wish you guys well. Let's pray for safety in our world. And I'm trying to take a minute for anyone else to type anything in, but nothing's coming in. Guys, have a wonderful evening. Appreciate you being here. Look forward to talking to you next week on Columbus Day. Good night, everyone.